Hello everybody. So Wargaming just put out a new waterline video, and in this it actually addressed kind of an updated thing about something they tested a long time ago, which was having a different rocket plane sort of interaction. So we're going to check this out. So we're going to get the basic concepts out of the way. We're going to see what information they have to offer to us, and then we're going to talk about it, and we're going to extrapolate kind of what it's doing, why it's doing it, and where it could go, not only with rockets, but with like other facets of the CV. So first things first, we're going to check out the video. Sorry to steal Wargaming content, but this is the relevant section of what's going on, so we're just going to check this out real quick and then talk about it.
Let's talk about attack aircraft. We know that the interaction with attack aircraft and aircraft carriers as a destroyer can be quite frustrating, and this is something that we want to change. Our change is going to have two components. Firstly, we're going to be increasing the delay between a carrier initiating his attack and the rockets being fired, as well as give a visual indicator as to where those rockets are going to land. Functionally, this is going to look the following way. When the attack is initiated, the attack planes are going to detach from their wing and they're going to open up fire with their machine guns, which, at least for now, will not be dealing any damage to ships. This was also done historically to let pilots aim their rockets, like according to their tracer fire. From a destroyer perspective, this means that you'll be able to see where the rockets are going to land and take evasive action.
We know that this is a significant change to this mechanic, and it will take some time for players, both on CVs and on the other side on surface ships, to adapt to this. But after our initial tests with our volunteers as super testers and clan testers, by the way, thank you very much for always helping us with these tests, we can see that this should significantly improve the interaction between destroyers and aircraft carriers.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure after this he talks about we're going to test, we're going to do some testing. That'll be available on the public testing server at some point. Okay, so let me go ahead and... That is not what I want to do. This is what I wanted to do. So we've got something set up. And why are we going to look at this? Because I want to show what rocket planes are now. Now, people are going to know what rocket planes are now, but we're just going to display the option before we go into talking about it in terms of using paintbrush, because, I mean, that's my gig, right? So we're going to take off with the Shikaku rockets, and I guess we can go ahead and give ourselves some sound, as people like sounds and things, or at least I do. The big thing we're going to focus on here is the ability to maneuver, the ability to line the shot. So right now we see that the reticle is all the way out, and if we use the little aiming thing, it looks like it's 2.5 clicks out, maybe about 3 clicks to aim. So 3 kilometers we're coming in. We can still aim, we can still aim, we can still aim, and 1/1000, it's about 1 to 1.2 seconds from shot till landing in the water. So one more time, we're gonna look at this. Now, in the terminal phase of the strike, you don't really have a lot of maneuvering left and right with the Japanese rocket planes, but the big thing we're gonna look at is how long is it for the rockets to shoot? It's about a second. Okay, so that's going to give us a baseline concept of what we're working with right now. So let's step out and let's use some paintbrush, because that's what I do. So if you have an enemy ship, in this case, say a destroyer, and the destroyer is moving in this direction, let's thicken that up so we can actually see it, then with your current reticle, it's going to take you from inception to shot. You're going to set the reticle where the enemy ship is going approximately 3 seconds early, 3 to 4 seconds early. What is this called? This, the first 3 to 4 seconds, is preparation phase. So gray, in terms of this, is going to be preparation. So in preparation 1, your guns are still locked out, and 2, you are, starting the aiming process to get to that fully dialed in reticle. So as soon as you actually start, you're going to see a yellow reticle probably back here, and it's going to be much larger. And then over the course of this 3-some seconds, it's going to move over until it finally shrinks down to the reticle, which is this. This is where it actually finally dials in. So you don't really put the reticle directly on the destroyer. You tend to put the reticle a little before the destroyer so that you can drag it onto the destroyer and make sure you've got a good hit. Now, during the time of this movement, the enemy DD is moving in the direction of your initial placement, and as you two end up merging in, you have this final few seconds to finalize this position. Maybe you want to pull it a little further ahead. Maybe you want to, maybe the destroyer was slowing down some, but you still have during this whole point the ability to course correct, and then you shoot. And at this point, once the shot is actually fired, there's a 1 second delay between the rockets firing and the ship. The destroyer may be moving forward directly into the path of the rockets. Bam, damage. The only indication of where you're going to shoot, as you can visually look at the planes and kind of see that maybe they're coming at like this angle, like a little bit of an off angle instead of directly at you. So that's a mild indication, but you don't actually have any of this information. You don't have where they're trying to dial into. You just know that the rockets, they come in for you. And when they shoot, they need to lead you by approximately 1 second. Well, what is, if we go back, let's look at this one more time and try to see the actual kind of animation that's going on here. So we're going to try and slow this down and really kind of look at it. So unfortunately, at a quarter speed, it's going to be slow, but we're going to slow it down so we can look at it. So if you see right here, you still see yellow. So this is the preparation. This is the 3 to 4 seconds that it takes. You've clicked your attack button. There's a preparation phase of amount of time. So just like in normal, you might have this destroyer that's either moving this way or something, sees the rocket plane, starts to turn out. Okay, cool. In this case, I mean, this is probably a test, so I doubt the destroyer is actually moving. But if we imagine a real world test, this guy might be turning out, and we've picked our line. So we set our reticle wherever, we picked our line, and then we're coming in with this prep phase. Now, once the prep phase is on, we have 5 seconds to pick a spot on the water that we're going to attack. That's going to be where we place our actual damage. So, at this point, the player has clicked. You now have the reticle locked on the water. This does not move, cannot be adjusted by the player anymore. It is completely locked in. And this is going to begin the process of a 3 to 4 second animation, which is subject to tuning. It might be 2, might be 4, might be 5, might be 1. AP rockets might be specifically vulnerable to this change because AP rockets might be, I mean, you have to be very precise with them. So I don't know how that's all going to work out, but that's the stuff you do in testing. You figure it out. So as for right now, for the rocket changes they're talking about, once you've dialed in, you're going to go through an animation.
This is going to look the following way.
It looks,
when the attack
this sounds
is
kind of
initiated,
drunk.
the attack planes are going to detach.
So what did we see other than me fiddling with the timing and the speeds and stuff? Initially, you see once the attack is engaged, bullets are going to start to shoot on the line of the attack. So if we swap back to kind of the paintbrush thing, we had our destroyer going in a direction, and we had our invisible target reticle that we were aiming to. Well, now, if you're getting to this point where you've got to lead the destroyer by 3 seconds, you're going to start seeing bullet spam heading up to this. So you're going to start seeing the line of attack. That's going to be the first indicator of where the CV has selected to make a strike. And you're going to start seeing this while the destroyer is still back here, able to know, oh, that's the line he's going to strike on. You could slam on the brakes. You could start to turn in. You could start to turn out. You could start to do whatever because you have a visual indicator of how far out or how close that attack line is. Because once it's selected, the CV player is no longer able to manipulate that line, and it's on to the destroyer to see the indicated strike coming and to respond. And as we're going to continue watching,
the attack is initiated.
So the tracers line up until they start to reach into the circumference of the reticle. Now, theoretically, if this looked better, maybe it had some bullet casings over here or, you know, shots so that you really had a better idea of where the reticle was, but this still gives you a good line of where it's going, terminating in its endpoint. So the destroyer now has that information. Doesn't tell where all the rockets are going to land, doesn't give you all that info, but it tells you where the attack is going to happen.
The attack.
And shortly after, the rockets are fired into the area where the CV player selected.
Trying to detach from their.
So, why is this useful? Why is this interesting? Why is this important? So first off, we'll just trim this all off. No longer is it a case of you've got a destroyer going against a hyper accurate rocket reticle that can be maneuvered directly onto whatever's going on. Now this reticle has to be placed here. And this is the final reticle. This is final reticle. This is 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Secondly, if you have two destroyers that are shooting at each other, the enemy destroyer, when firing at this DD, is going to have a dispersion ellipsoid of something like this. So if the destroyer turns out a little, still in the dispersion ellipsoid, although the shells might fall short. Turns in a little, still in the dispersion ellipsoid, although the shells might go high. You still have the possibility of dealing damage. It might not be a perfect strike, but you still have the possibility of doing something. Having this interaction, having a 3-second lead time, means that the enemy destroyer can, once they start seeing the bullet tracings come in, has the option to slow down and end here, where maybe they get shot on the nose. Has the ability to turn out and place themselves here, where maybe they catch something from the lower end of the reticle, but maybe they don't. Has the ability to cut in. And because this dispersion ellipsoid is not this, they have the ability to juke high, juke low, slow down, or if the reticle's too close, outrun it. You have effectively, if you're in a destroyer, extremely skilled players are going to be able to see those incoming shells and kind of like, those are going to be up there, I'm going to slow down. Ooh, those are kind of close, I bet I can outrun them. You know, an extremely skilled player is going to be able to visually identify the shell flight path and respond to it. And while you don't necessarily see the shells, you see the tracing that tells you the line of ouch and how you want to approach it, how you want to deal with it. And it doesn't give you the exact spot where the rockets are going to land immediately. You know, if there's that 3-second window, it's going to actually identify this is the terminal attack point at approximately 1 to 1.5 seconds in. But it still gives you enough information that you can make an informed decision on. Specifically, the beginning of the tracers, well, you know it's shooting past that. So if you turned in, going to the beginning of the tracers, it's going to shoot over you. It's going to overshoot. Okay. So why is this important? Well, because CVs are really fucking accurate. They are. They're really fucking accurate. CV and destroyers don't have a lot of health. Now, we've already seen multiple attempts to nerf rockets. Nerf rockets? I mean, we can look just over the past probably 8 months. First off, there was the broadside reticle, broadside rocket rework. All rockets were changed to be broadside, in which case T8 maybe got buffed. Maybe it was the same, but Tier 10 got nerfed. Tier 10 is a clan battle, isn't often used for clan battles. So Tier 10 got nerfed. Why? Because there was a dispersion penalty running up. There are some instances that Hakuryu could strike from multiple angles. The Audacious could strike from multiple angles. Now they're all broadside. You have a angle that you need to come in from, and if you deviate from it, you're losing potential damage. Also, the dispersion was just fucking miserably awful-tastic. So we had a broadside rocket reticle rework. Then we also had German CVs, which suck against DDs. We have the FDR, sucks against DDs. We have the Immelmann, which has no rockets. We have, you know, a variety of things like this. We also have, if you pay attention outside of the game, WoW's Legends released, it literally has no rockets on its CVs. So you can see that Wargaming is continually pulling away from rockets, but since they've been in the game for 2 years now, rather than just up and rip them out of the game, they've just kind of stopped adding rockets that are really effective against destroyers, leading you to use torpedoes or bombs or other methods to try to interact with them. And this is pretty much the penultimate thing to really giving DD's counterplay while still allowing rockets to be rockets. It's just kind of form-fitting them into probably something that's better against cruisers or battleships. So this is really just the culmination of what they've been doing. And the real question is this okay? Is it good? Well, if you look back to RTS days, you had, you would do the same thing. You would have an enemy ship doing a thing. Now, granted, I wasn't an RTS player, but I played very briefly at Tier 4, and you would select a place on the map that usually the drop would be fairly quick, but your planes would have to come in. Your planes would have to come in and drop. So there was, a 1-2 second lead time. Basically, you pick a spot, X amount of time goes over as the AI performs the animation, and then boop, you make the strike. Well, you can extrapolate what's being done with rockets to torpedoes and bombs as well. So rather than having the Immelmann, rather than having the Richthofen, which has a bomb reticle that was so accurate you would expect 26,000 damage in citadels. Why? Because the enemy battleship is so large that your reticle could literally fit on top of it, and you couldn't miss. You couldn't. I mean, you could miss if you placed it wrong, but somebody that's really skilled is going to hit more often than not. So Cable Guy, who's a carrier player in my clan, would often expect 26,000 citadel damage. Not, well, maybe I'll get it. No. He would expect it. And once again, when you're dropping with that 1 second, 1.5 second difference in timing. Well, if they extend out, if they extend this change, can we do this? Maybe rotate like 90. Whoa, that looks crazy. Whatever. I'll just make them new. We'll do the thing. So if you have a battleship, that's coming in and you want to do the Richthofen, well, they did nerf the reticles so that the reticle's too damn big. But if they went back to the old reticles, say, but they made it 1 second, 2 second, 3 seconds. Well, what happens if the enemy Thunderer, goes into a power slide and is more like this? Or like this? Suddenly there's more movement in response to the bombing cycle. Now, the amount of time that this animation can take is definitely subject to balancing. It might be 3 seconds, it might be 2, it might be whatever the hell it's gotta be to give you movement time. And you could do the exact same thing with torpedoes, where you lock yourself on a line, and that is what you are on, and then you perform the torpedo strike. Similar to what happened with the RTS stuff, which you could try as best you could to make it as accurate as possible, but having this window of time where the player is not actively tracking the movements and jukes of the enemy ship means that the movements and jukes of the enemy ship are going to be much more impactful. So it's a nerf, not gonna lie, it's a nerf, but in terms of is it a bad nerf? Is it a bad interaction? It's gonna make life harder. The only way a CV is going to be able to rocket or really affect a destroyer is if the destroyer is busy, or like they're detected in a smoke cloud and they're not moving, or they're not paying attention, or they're busy fighting somebody and they're not thinking about angling or turning or juking or whatever. You can come in and maybe slap them with some rocket planes if you lead correctly. But this, just by the nature and how inaccurate your strikes will be off of this, it's going to push CVs more toward cruisers. Although cruisers are still maneuverable for what they do, unless they're just sitting on an island, and also toward battleships. So it's really funneling the damage toward maybe a specific type. So mostly it could be funneling it toward battleships and also cruisers, but destroyers, I don't know, as a backup. That being said, carriers can still spot. If you spot a destroyer and you got some friends, they're going to take some shots at it. So that's still going to be a thing. People are still going to bitch about it. Such is life. But I do think that not only is this change interesting, it's not 100% in. They're still going to test it and stuff. So it's not like it's in the fucking game. but it does seem like it's a really interesting idea. I think it's cool to see it carried through, and I imagine if it's a success, they could also carry it over to the torpedoes and bombs, which, you know, a Super Unicum is going to guide it in damn near perfect, whereas a normal player maybe isn't going to guide it in damn near perfect. And when you start adding that latency, that lag time, you're going to have some people that are extremely good at prediction, but it is going to pull some of the accuracy out of even Super Unicum capabilities. So that should pull back some of the threat that a carrier is going to enforce, especially against people that have the ability to, you know, just dodge. So I hope this was useful. God knows it probably took too long. I do tend to talk for long periods of time. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you gained something from it. If you have questions, I do stream on Twitch. I also have a Discord, and you can, of course, comment on the, well, this will eventually be a YouTube video, and ask questions there. I do try to respond to comments. So if you want to put something out there, I can try to interact with you at that point. So yeehaw.